Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Vision One Media Artist Shoutout. My name is Ella Beth, I'm your host, and in today's episode I'm introducing a female artist, which we haven't had on for a little bit, so that's exciting first of all, but also someone who is involved with quite a few bands here in Atlanta and knows the scene quite well just through networking and collaborating and just being a great musician and a great person. So without further ado, I'm introducing CARLY GIBSON.
Thank you. Instagram handle.
I did because I think it's one of the.
It's really cute.
It's one of the most clever Instagram handles I think I've ever seen.
My mother was like, "This should be your email. It's CARLY GIBSON." I was like, "It's brilliant.
It is brilliant.
Thank you."
Okay, well, snaps to CARLY's mom. You
Mom.
came up with a good one. That's so clever.
She's cool like that. Yeah.
Cool. So, is your mom musical?
She is. Yeah.
Okay.
I say all of my parents mostly because I have step family too. Mm-hmm. So my stepdad is a multi-instrumentalist. He plays saxophone, keyboard, piano, and flute, and like a little guitar and bass.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
And he's also an airplane mechanic and was a lawyer. So that's weird.
So was the air, like, I'm like one of those is a daytime job, like.
Yeah, his first degree was in saxophone.
Okay.
And then he went to law school. Mm-hmm. And then he did real estate law, and the economy just, went down in 2008. So he was teaching music lessons and then decided to go to airplane mechanic school. So he works for Delta now.
Okay.
And my mom, she plays some horn instruments. She plays bass. She plays some violin. She sings.
Okay.
She loves singing harmony.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you do that together?
Sometimes, yeah. She actually was part of like my little band when I was like 18. My stepdad would play bass with me and my mom would sing backgrounds with me. It was really cute.
Honestly, I love family bands.
Yeah. So I was really blessed, but my dad was a professional guitarist and singer, songwriter.
Okay.
So that's why we moved to Atlanta.
Okay.
When I was a kid. And he's retired from it now. He's got horrible arthritis. Mm-hmm. He actually had to give me like some of his guitars. He's like, I can't play anymore. So sad.
Yeah. It's like losing a part of yourself.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy because I was expecting to get some of these as like down the road.
Right.
Like, as like something that I would inherit.
Right.
So I was like, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, so my stepmom doesn't play. She loves music, but she should never sing.
Okay. Hey, well, we need, to be fair, we need those people too. We need the people who love music because otherwise.
She loves all music, so
Perfect.
It's cool. But yeah, I came from a very musical family, so my house was loud.
Okay.
My brother plays, my step-siblings all played piano, and one played saxophone and bass, and the other played French horn, So is guitar your first instrument? Violin was my first instrument.
Me too.
Yeah.
Cute.
And it was hard to get into. I started when I was 3, and that's a really hard age to get someone introduced to especially violin.
Anything because they don't have 3-year-olds don't have attention spans.
Oh my God, and especially not me when I was that age. Like I was all over the place.
Yeah.
My brother took violin lessons too, and he was like a natural at it, but he got made fun of, so he stopped doing it.
Okay.
But he was like, he could have been a prodigy. He was really good.
Okay.
I broke my violin on accident. Kind of. I think it was a subconscious.
I can't play it anymore.
I tried
I should
when
pick
I
up
was
the guitar.
10. I tried, and I was just like, look, this is just. First of all, it's not a forgiving instrument, as you know. Like it takes like a decade to just become okay.
Right.
And it's just uncomfortable to me.
Yeah.
But my dad played guitar, like my whole family, and I had my cousin who's Kiwi. She and her dad were
Kiwi.
Yeah, from New Zealand. And they were visiting, and I'm like, they play guitar too. I was like, I'm the only one here
who's not playing
guitar
doesn't.
Yet. So we were just camping, and so my cousin, who's just a couple years older than me, she showed me a Green Day song, and I just kept jamming the Green Day. I was like 12 years old.
I love that.
And that was it. Yeah, I was like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. Okay.
This is what I'm doing. Yeah.
So you learned the song, and you were like, I am CARLY GIBSON now.
Yeah, I'm like, this is what I do. Yeah.
Amazing.
So
So when did you start branching into, I'm guessing as a musician since you were little that you always also sang, like that singing's been a part of your whole musical journey. But when did you start getting into playing and singing? And this question first. So when did you start doing both of them and performing?
I was about 14.
Okay.
Yeah, I always wanted to sing when I was younger. You know, I always liked to, but I was so self-conscious, and I had a lot of, I was just so introverted, and I was also like a really chunky kid, so I got made fun of a lot. So I was just like didn't want to be seen or
Take up space.
I was just like really, I got made fun of a lot. So. And also just being like a little short stack, I don't know. The whole situation was just awkward.
Okay.
But I sang to myself and I wanted to sing so bad. And I remember, listening to like Heart and who else? I had Heart on CD. I had Nora Jones on CD, on disc.
Yeah,
back when we had
that's
discs,
right. When we had discs. Yes, that Come Away With Me album.
Yeah, that album really made me want to sing and to write. Like I really wanted to, and I loved it. A lot of other singers too. I mean, so steeped in all sorts of things. But I remember it was probably around 10 when I was like, oh, I want to do this, but I felt too scared.
Yeah.
So my parents tried to get me to like, sing on their songs and do this or that, but I was just like, no, don't look at me.
Right.
Look at me. Right. Don't look at me. Sort of thing.
Oh, listen to me. Don't look at me.
That's my whole MO, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
It's funny. So I didn't start writing songs until I was 14.
Okay.
Until I got really just heartbroken. It's what usually is
That's
the kicker.
usually what starts it.
Yeah. It's just, writing songs based on that. Just feeling angsty and depressed about whatever, And I mean, after that, it was just like, I just kept doing it because it was therapy,
right? Yep.
It was how I dealt with a lot of things.
Yeah. It's both songwriting is how you work through the emotions. It both evokes new emotions and also, and also, I mean, songwriting for me, is like therapy, and also it's kind of like my hobby too. Like
absolutely,
I love having something that I am passionate about and that I love that also happens to be something that I'm good at. I'm sure for the same for you.
It seems like it's really a lifestyle and it's a constant. Because like as songwriters, we're always thinking of different ideas as we're just like in the grocery store, maybe at the gas pump, doing like monotonous things. Our brains are kind of all over the place thinking about ideas and sounds and things like that. So I love it. Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. So how, like we've talked about sort of the emotions behind songwriting. And obviously every song is different as you write it. Some people have like their very definite ways that they write things, and some people sort of just write things off the cuff. How have you developed your songwriting since being a 14-year-old and being heartbroken? Like, how have you developed that into? I think it's really important because there is, you could just write albums and albums about heartbreak. Artists have and made millions of dollars, but like, how have you moved on into different things and possibly happier material?
Yeah, I kind of got to a point where I felt like there was a block in my early 20s trying to write stuff on my own. I felt like I only wrote stuff with it being from sadness or anger or angst, those emotions that were fueling the songs that I wrote. So that's when I started co-writing.
Okay.
And so since then, I've just been doing a lot of co-writing mostly. I mean, I write here and there, but I let myself take a break from the stress of trying to be a solo artist and trying to push myself as this version that I thought the world would want, I guess. So, you have to go through those kind of like the reinventions, and like you go through cycles in life. It changes, but I wanted originally to be a solo artist, and then I realized it didn't. I feel like I was forcing it.
Okay.
You know, and so as far as the material, I just found it easier to co-write with other people that had those other ideas and they could bring other energy to the table. So now I mainly write with my best friend Hannah Zale with our band the Pussy Willows, and with BJ Wilbanks, my husband, in our band GIBSON Wilbanks.
Wilbanks.
It's usually those two, and then like whatever side stuff or this or that, you know, for fun. But I took the pressure off myself to try to just be this, you know, solo artist competing against other females trying to do the singer, songwriter, guitar thing. Yeah. I kind of lost myself, forcing myself to try to be something that it just wasn't vibing. I had to go a different way, you know?
Yeah. So when you are co-songwriting with people, like, is it kind of formulaic in regards to like who might come up with lyrics and who might come up with melodies or who might come up with chords, or do you just
vibe it?
Okay.
Yeah, so oftentimes it just is very spirit of the moment. And it's kind of like, the way that I think of it is it's like playing a sports ball game. You just kind of pass it back and forth to each other. Yeah. And I really love that way of writing because you can get it down really quick. You can get songs out, and it's a bit more energetic and fun, like kinetic in the moment when you can do that. Though I do like being in my own little space and writing things for myself. I've just been more kind of private in my own writing process, trying to just figure out who the hell I am.
Right.
As a person.
As a person, as a musician, all of the things. No, I totally feel you.
It's like cocooning. You know, like we go through these phases sometimes. I think we have to honor, to allow ourselves to heal and cocoon in that space. So I've kept it very private, and so I let my those other personality, parts of my personality out in the other duo projects that I do.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at right now, at least. And I'm just rolling with it. I'm not forcing myself or putting any pressure to have to put out a solo record. Right. I feel like maybe down the road, I can do that whenever I want to.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I just really only released like one single, besides like my embarrassing demos that I had from when I was like 18 and 19. Oh my gosh. You know? But yeah, it's definitely evolved. And it goes back and forth. I like having, if someone comes up with a hook, I like writing the verse, you know, so if they're at the chorus, I like writing, or you can flip-flop it. So I like just bouncing ideas off of each other. It's so fun. Yeah. And as far as guitar parts go, I kind of go off the cuff with that as well. Sometimes I'll have a guitar part and I'll just give it to one of my duo partners and they'll work on it and throw it back to me, and I'll work on, you know, you just toss it back and forth until it's done. Yeah. And it's just more playful. It's more fun that way.
Right. Less pressure and playful. Yeah. And I mean, that's how it should be. Like, we're very blessed to be able to work in not only like the things that we're naturally gifted at, but the things that we love. So it should be fun, you know?
Yeah.
And otherwise, what are we doing it for? Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And when you start so young, I don't know how far back you started performing and singing. I'm sure it was fairly early, yeah, you know. You start to have all these people around you telling you like, oh, you should do this, you should do that.
This way.
And then you are, you know, exposed to all this social pressure too, and what's happening, and the internet blowing up, you know, with the MySpace and the Facebook happening when we were teenagers. It was like, oh man, you know, so it was so much comparing. And that's just part of the growth process, though. And like we were just saying before we started this, it's like the only person you can really compare yourself to is you.
Right.
You know, and especially as an artist.
As an artist, and I think that's something that has been probably the biggest like lesson that I had to struggle with in my early 20s and work through in my later 20s, and now it's in my 30s. So I'm like, as an artist, I'm so happy with who I am, and I'm so happy with what I create. I'm so happy with how I collaborate, that like all these things that I had to work through, being like jealous or being insecure or not feeling enough or like having imposter syndrome all throughout my 20s. I'm like, I'm so glad that's gone. But I think too, like what you mentioned with, coming up with the MySpace at the time, that is also, I believe, part of being, like we mentioned before, like a woman in the industry. We are the minority in our industry, and sadly, most of the entertainment industry the world over does tend to sort of like not pit women against other women, but there is a sense of competition that is like just a cycle in our industry. And I think it's really humbling at this age to be able to see I don't know about you, but like see where I came from, and then to see other artists who are in their early 20s now and be like, girl, I've got you. Like let me support you. Let me, you want to talk through this, you want help like with a song, I really want to be that because I don't think that was always available to people in our generation. So
it was so cutthroat. And I think about these musicians back in, the 60s and 70s trying to do what we're doing. And we're so blessed to have what we have now.
Yeah.
And to just things are a bit more acceptable, as far
and
as
accessible.
Yes. And I think about that a lot. If I tried to be a woman, playing a masculine, well, at least what they call to be a masculine instrument, in like the 40s or 50s, that would have been a whole different situation.
Right, absolutely.
And,
yeah,
and there's so much to that, and especially like you said, the imposter syndrome. I still deal with that.
Oh, me too.
All the time. And it's I guess it's just a facet of the personality that it keeps you growing if you use it right.
Yeah.
But I still find myself in situations, on stage somewhere doing a thing, and I'm just like, how the heck did I get allowed up here? Yeah. Like, what?
Yeah, it's like the musician equivalent of like, is there adult supervision here? Because I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny, though, now because I teach a lot of young women, a lot of teens. So one of my side gigs is I teach guitar and I teach voice and like some performance. So it's really cool getting to pay it forward because I had some really good teachers and really good female role models over the years. Some really badass women to show me the ropes and just, not just about music, but off stage, how to handle yourself, how to handle a sound guy who's an asshole.
Right.
Just things like that. Because as a woman, when you show up to a gig, and you kind of have to be a little bit prepared to have some armor on and to have a way that you can,
especially with a venue you don't know and people that you don't know because, sometimes we do get not underrepresented,
underestimated.
Underestimated.
Yeah, no, I totally feel you.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm sure you have some stories too of some shows where you're just like, I cannot believe that person said that to me, or some things that happened to me when I was in music school. I was one of 2 or 3 girls in the entire school.
Wow.
I went to Atlanta Institute of Music for guitar, and that was a trip. Yeah. Because I really had to go in there before I'd walk in the doors. I'd have to kind of have a talk with myself and be like, all right, put up the boundaries, put up the armor in a way. But I still also want to be like a receptive person.
Right.
But, when you have all male teachers, everyone in your class is male, it's just imbalanced.
Right.
It's just imbalanced.
Yeah.
And also just walking around the halls and noticing that, like, you're getting scanned up and down and like, it was kind of weird sometimes, but I didn't really mind having all the male energy just because I had brothers and like, I was used to that. Like, I don't mind being one of the dudes at all, but the dynamic is interesting, because some of the things, I won't say who, but there's been some people over the years I'm like, I cannot believe they said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what were they thinking?
Yeah, right? Like, first of all, like, I feel like, especially if and I don't want to say it's just being men, but like, if someone has heard you play or sing or do whatever you do, and they've seen how proficient you are, and they know that you've put the work into it, like it doesn't matter if I'm the minority in the room. Like, if I'm proficient, respect that. You know, every musician who is working in the music industry has put time and money and effort into learning what they do, you know? Like, respect that.
And I'm here for the songs. I'm here for the music, personally. And so when I show up, I really try to make that something that I exude, because I want that to be, that's the focus.
Yes.
So if I get hired to do a session, whatever it is, I'm there for the music.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really need to prove anything. I'm just there I want to add something to the actual sound experience.
Yeah, yeah.
I can, you know.
The sound experience. I love that.
Yeah, like that's what it's about. You know, it's not about how many licks can you play and how many bars or whatever. I want it to feel right. Mm-hmm. And so it's funny going to school with all these cats that are like fresh out of high school, and they're just like, you know, they're just wanting to Yngwie Malmsteen, like everything.
Play all the
notes, Joe Satriani, everything. And then
the gain isn't a volume knob guitarist, all right.
And then you see him try to play some Hendrix, and you're like, awkward. Like, that's awkward, because there's no feeling. There's no space and breath and that soul aspect.
The feeling.
It's so important. So it was good to see that, because the value in musicianship, it's such a big spectrum.
Yes,
I mean, it depends, and it all is like, how is it being added to the song?
Right.
You know, and that really helps keep a humility about it. And like, it should always be about the music.
Yes, absolutely.
You know? That's why we show up. It's for that.
It's for the music. Yeah. Because that's what feeds our souls.
Yeah.
And in turn, after we've done what feeds our souls, we go and give it to other people, and hopefully it feeds their souls, you know? Like, it's a cycle.
Translate. I just feel like now at this time, you know, being 30 years old now and looking back at, you know, we look back at our 20s, and, you know, you learn so much, right? You learn so much. And it's a good time to kind of sit back and just reevaluate, you know, why are you doing this? How can you be more authentic? And just, I think authenticity is now, that's my main thing.
Yes.
And even if someone says, you know, I want to pay you this much to do this on this song, I have no problem saying, well, actually, like, I don't know if I'm the person for that. You know, like,
let me help you find someone who is. But
I want to play for the song. So however that needs to happen, and that's a good place to be at. You know, to just be more chill about it. And I don't feel desperate to have to put myself out there. You know, like, I'll be there if I'm meant to be there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think going back to what you were saying before, how we're so lucky these days, like now, you know, because things are so much more accessible and so much more acceptable. Like, I feel as though where I am as I'm so much more happy with my musical journey as a 30-year-old living in the moment that I am now than I think I ever would have been as an early 20-year-old, being further ahead in my career in regards to like having more fame or fortune or whatever.
Absolutely.
Because everything I learned in my 20s has brought me to this point now that's, you know, we're still like, it's still a journey where I just feel like I'm so at ease with my musicality, and I'm still learning about it, but like I feel like I've really come to a point that I've accepted what it is in my ballpark, you know, and if it's not in my ballpark, and if I'm not going to be able to bring the feeling, like you said, like if I can't bring what you want musically, like it's about the music. I only want to do what is authentic, what makes me happy, what makes other people happy, like what I know is in you know, and that doesn't mean I don't want to challenge myself, but I definitely want to do like...
Yeah, we still have to challenge and do those things that kind of scare us a little bit.
A little bit. And occasionally,
it's
you
like
know?
you gotta find your own edge.
Yeah.
Like if you're like stretching a muscle, like you don't want to go too far, right? It's like you just want to find that sweet edge where you're just like, I'm about to fall, but there's a net.
Scary.
Maybe it's okay. I totally feel that.
I'm fine. Call an ambulance.
There's definitely sometimes I try to go by that rule as like if it scares me a little bit, then I should probably do it.
Yes.
But if it scares me so much that I feel like a lot of anxiety, and it doesn't feel right in my stomach. I'll
take a step back.
But
absolutely.
I think there's something to be said for us doing things that slightly scare us, put us, out of the comfort zone, because that's for me with the imposter syndrome thing.
Right.
Like, it's been very helpful so I can self-validate my growth by doing that. Do some stuff that scares you. When I got a call from Mother's Finest, I listened to their music growing up, so it was really trippy and a little scary. And they're like, we want you to come sing backgrounds with us. Let's go to Europe. And I was like, oh my God. I don't really know what is going on. Right. I was just like, really? And I was so used to holding a guitar all the time. So, I was like, what do I even do with my hands?
Right. Do I put them behind my back?
I was like, I can try. I'm going to try. And it was such a good experience for me because it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But I was also so excited and so grateful for it. So it's experiences like that are just priceless, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, really life-changing.
Yeah. So going back to the music that you do, tell me a little bit, like, how would you describe the music of Gibson Wilbanks, and how would you describe the music of the Pussy Willows?
So the way that I see it and experience it most times is Gibson Wilbanks, we call it back porch soul.
Okay.
So BJ and we have a lot of similar backgrounds in the classic rock music or blues, funk, that we listened to growing up. And so when we first started hanging out, he was saying how much he liked the band, and I was like, I love the band. And
like the band.
Okay, cool. Yeah, like Robbie Robertson, all those guys who were the band behind a bunch of other people back in the day, right? And so a lot of it is it's more Americana, but we still have, like swampy, bluesy R&B. It's Motown-ish type vibes. But also it's like we like to sing old school country style, so we like to have some twang in there. And with Pussy Willows, that's my outlet to just rock face and get out the aggression, and getting to have that female camaraderie is super, that sisterhood energy is so important. And I am so grateful. I thank God every day that I have these two projects with two of my closest people.
Right. That is really beautiful. It's rare.
It is rare. And to be even able to do business, you can have fun and be creative with someone, but can you rely on someone to handle this sort of, business decisions?
Right, yeah.
That's a whole other thing. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah.
And, but Pussy Willows is more like, we have more 90s grunge meets, kind of like 60s, 70s stuff. So there's some bridge and crossover there, but we kind of feel like, in a sense, the best way to describe it is like a newer version of what Heart is. So like, Hannah's the Anne to my Nancy. Sort of thing. So we both sing. And so that's the project where I got to explore more of my guitar playing, my rock playing, because it's just me on guitar.
Right.
And so it's a 3-piece with 2 vocals. And so we weave our vocals in and out with lead and harmony. So that was it was a really fun, healthy challenge, and it still is, because I'm like, how the hell am I going to play that? Work the pedal board.
Right.
Play those parts.
Remember where to be singing the harmonies and what harmonies I'm singing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and jump around with that. But it's just so fun. It's so fun. And it lights me up, and I get to, put on big shoes and lipstick and just rock out. So, but we do
rock
the dog
face with a female-fronted band. Is
so
there
fun.
anything better?
And people love seeing it.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a good time, because if we're having a good time, and that's the cool thing is Hannah and we could just be hanging out anywhere, and we're going to have a good time.
Right.
So it's kind of infectious that way, and we don't really care what anybody else, we're just we're having fun. So
right, yeah.
Hopefully you will too.
Yeah, right.
If you don't,
join in.
That's fine. Yeah. And same with BJ. I mean, he's such a fun person as well. So Yeah, it's entertaining. I have a blast with both of them, and we also do some gigs together sometimes. So BJ, my husband, he has his own group, BJ Wilbanks Band, and he's just a prolific songwriter. The guy just churns out amazing songs. He just I don't know how his antenna, how he can just pull songs out of the air is really amazing and inspiring. But we basically got asked to do this super group thing in a way, which is his band, but we do 70s band. So we're all, covering some of his stuff. Hannah and I are singing backgrounds, but then we'll do some Isley Brothers or, Heart, stuff like that, just to spice it up for some city shows,
Yep.
And people have a great time, We get to dress up and, all
absolutely.
70s style and just kick it.
Yeah.
With a full band, with a horn section, and it's super fun. So
that's awesome.
It kind of bleeds in, because it's one big family at the end of the day.
Right, absolutely. And that's how music communities should be. Even in a city the size of Atlanta, you can have basically boroughs of community, and pockets of musical networks, and sometimes they'll cross over, and sometimes people go visit other networks and stuff. I've definitely felt like I've experienced a bit of that. I mean, even the way that you and I met, it was so organic and natural, and now we're here doing that, right? Hey, we're rehearsing
some music.
I love that.
Yeah, it's so cool how things will come together, and I feel like it all stems from that authenticity.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
So it really makes a difference, I think, with how you cross paths with people, who you cross paths with people, because we've all gone through the relationships and scenarios and situations that we just had to learn from, you know. And the 20s are such a freaking mess. It just takes a second, to figure out who's worth your time and energy.
Yes, absolutely, right? Yeah.
And especially the in the business with you're going back to just supporting other women.
Yes.
And it's funny because you can find yourself in situations where people will be like, yeah, I support you. And then people will do catty stuff behind your back. And it's they say they're supporting you, but really there's these ulterior motives on so many different angles, not just from, men. It's not just that. But I've experienced some situations that were really odd. And it just a reminder of how we have to go with our gut and be around the people and create with people who really are authentic.
Yes.
Who aren't just saying that they support you. It's how are they actually showing up for themselves?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, authenticity creates authenticity. And, and if that's what we're aiming for as artists, performers, and songwriters, you have to have that around you, because otherwise it's pulling away from what it really should be. So I feel you on that.
It's super important. You can hear it in people's voices when they sing. You can hear it, the more you get in tune with it, the more you get in tune with yourself, and you meet someone and you hear them sing their songs, you're like, I feel that.
Yeah.
And you can also tell when they're they're trying too hard.
Yeah.
Or do they, I don't know what this is, I don't know. And that's okay.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Yeah.
But as far as the younger generation, I mean, they're kicking so much ass. I know these young kids. I work with a bunch of teenagers, like I said, and getting to see them just shine is so cool.
Yeah.
Just so cool.
I love that.
I'm actually having one of my students open up for our Eddie's Attic show on February 11th.
I heard about that. I'm going to be coming, first of all. But second of all, that's really cool. I love to hear supporting young artists. But yes, I read that. Yeah. Eddie's Attic.
It's so fun. I love that stage. It's nice and cozy.
That's what I've seen. I haven't been there yet, but I've seen from the photos. It just looks like...
We got to get you on that stage. You got to play that stage.
2023. It's my year, baby. It's my year. I'm coming. I am coming for you, Eddie's Attic and
your voice
Cat's
needs
Cafe,
to be coming through that PA for sure.
Cool.
For sure.
All
It's got to happen. But this girl Carmen, she's 17 and she's writing her own songs, and it's just she's such a cool person.
Yeah.
And I mean, these kids are amazing.
Right.
They blow me away.
Yeah.
It's a really nice. It's a really nice thing to see.
Yeah. To know that like the joy and the passion and the spark is there in a generation that is like grew up different to us. You know, these 17-year-olds have had computers their whole lives. You know, I had dial up and when the thing was
here.
like, you know, like these kids are just like
sounds like an alien.
right? Yeah, you know, and all these 17, 18-year-olds, you know, have access to the technology where they can create at home, have, you know, you can learn anything off YouTube. Like I'm really excited to see what today's sort of pre-college age are like gonna produce tomorrow, you know, just because it's really cool.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we focus on that and we encourage these young artists.
Yes.
And I was really fortunate to have women like Caroline Aiken, Donna Hopkins, another woman, Diane Durrett. These women that have been in the Atlanta music scene long time. Caroline Aiken, she goes back, and I mean she was in a group with Moses Mo from Mother's Finest for a while in the 90s, and but she was the one that got the Indigo Girls on the stage at Eddie's Attic. She was this person, this supporting, lovely person to just be like, you know what, here's a spot on the stage. You should get up here. And so when she met me, I was like 17, you know, and I didn't know what the heck was going on. But I looked up to her so much, and eventually she's like, you should just get on stage with me. She's like, I had no idea that you play guitar like that. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Get up here.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, I'm just like hopping in her truck, and we're just like driving to North Carolina and like going, you know, to play shows. And she always was like, you know, I can't always give you money, but when I can, you know, I'll cover your gas and make sure you get fed, and like, here's an experience.
Right,
know?
exactly. The wealth of experience for a young person that age. Absolutely. Yeah, priceless.
And I just can't be more appreciative of it, you know, and I feel like we need to pay that forward. And so I'm really trying to take what I learned from these amazing women and give that information and that knowledge to these other young people, because, you know, why keep it to yourself?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We love this thing that we do called music. Like, we better make sure, you know, we have almost a responsibility to make sure that it does get passed on. You know, music is another language, and we have, right. I feel that.
And it's also that part of we don't need to feel so attached and like, this is mine, you know, that kind of coveting energy that I feel like, you know, it's out there. A lot of people you know, there's big egos out there. There's a lot of different modalities and how people want to do their thing, which is fine, you know, no judgment there. But for me personally, I just want to make sure it's the most, it's the most real. You know, how is it going to benefit these younger kids too? You know, and if they're looking at people like us as inspiration, you know, we better do it right.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Walk the walk, not just sing the song as it were. You know, in our case, absolutely. I feel that.
Yeah.
Well, I've loved everything that you have brought to the table in regards to being someone who does have a little bit of experience as doing like teaching as well, and your wealth of experience throughout the Atlanta scene. Would you be able to just tell the audience where to find you on Instagram, where to find your two bands or three bands? Basically, where do we find you online, and how do we, what are we looking forward to shows-wise? I know February 11th at Eddie's Attic. Seriously, put that in your diaries. Pussy Willows, February 11th at Eddie's Attic. It's going to be epic. I'm going to be there. Really, and Carmen's going to be supporting. So, yeah.
So cool. You guys are going to love her. Thank you so much.
That's all right. No, you're welcome.
So cool. So I'm mostly I'm posting from 3 main accounts.
Yep.
So I have CARLY GIBSON. That's my IG, and my website is CARLYGIBSONmusic.com. Yep. It's funny though. It's like, who uses a website? I guess people do. I don't know, but it's there.
That's cool.
It's there.
It's there.
It's got links. It's got stuff. And on Spotify, I have one single that's my solo song up there from like years ago. So hopefully at some point I can record another one of my own. I'm just kind of being patient with that whenever it's supposed to happen. And the Pussy Willows is the P Willows, at the P Willows on Instagram, because they censored us. I
wondered about that. Okay.
Yeah. They were just like, no, can't do that. And we're like, it's a plant.
It is a plant.
Whatever. And then the other band is Gibson Wilbanks. It's my last name and my husband's last name. I kept my last name because I like my last name.
I think that's
and
really
I play
cool.
guitar, and I'm just like, it's what I do. It's
right.
who I am.
Literally, it's what I do at 2 a.m. I love that for you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then if you guys are interested in Mother's Finest, I sing backgrounds with them, and they're just a great band. If you like that funky rock, they're what's up. They rock pretty hard too. They like to do the heavy stuff sometimes.
Cool.
So yeah, they're really cool. And just to say too that if anyone hasn't heard of them, you should check them out and watch some old videos of them. Because Joyce Kennedy, she was, I mean, she still is just one of the most incredible performers and vocalists of her time. Okay. Up there with Shaka Khan. I mean, she was on so many on the charts, on the charts with these people. Diana Ross on the charts, you know.
Okay.
But she's an amazing person, and Glenn Murdoch, her husband, they're so cool. Like you don't see that too much. That band of that caliber staying together for that long.
Absolutely.
50 plus years.
Right.
Are you kidding me? It's crazy. So yeah, those are the places. And I guess looking forward, I'm playing tomorrow with you.
Yes.
So
by the time this episode comes out, it'll be in the past. But yeah, we'll
do another thing.
We're definitely going to do that together. Yeah. Yeah.
February, what was it? The first weekend, the 6th? Mm-hmm. I think it is. Guys, don't hold me to that.
The 5th is the Sunday, so
I guess the 4th.
The 4th, Saturday.
The Pussy Willows would be doing our monthly residency at Ground and Pound Coffee.
Ground and Pound Coffee.
In Alpharetta.
Yes.
And then February 11th will be at Eddie's Attic.
Cool.
So those are the ones coming up shortly.
And
that one, February 11th, is going to be full band. So we have Dustin Williams on bass, who is sick. He is so sick. And then his brother from another mother, but actually they're not related, David Williams is on drums. So they're really fun, really cool guys.
Cool.
And so we're just going to have
an awesome time.
A good time playing some new music. We haven't gotten to play some new tunes in a while. So
cool. Well, I'm excited for that show.
I'm excited too. I'm so excited you're coming. Yay!
Well, thank you so much, CARLY, for being on the podcast. You have been a joy. Thank you so much for sharing some of your insight in, what it is being a woman in the industry.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Cool.
Yay.
And if you are another artist in Atlanta or in Georgia who would like to be on Vision One Media Artist Shoutout, we would love to hear from you. You can find us at Vision One Media ATL on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. We have our website, and just send us a message on any of those platforms and let us know. Say, hey, I'd love to be part of the Artist Shoutout program, and we'll contact you, and we'd love to have you on here. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.